This is an EWB production. Hi, I'm Emmy Birch.
And I am Sandy Thornton, and this is the Take Us With You podcast.
Hey, Sandy, what's the Take Us With You podcast all about?
So glad you asked. In a sea of badness coming out of every news station, let's provide some light, laughter, and levity to this strange, strange time we are living in.
I'm so glad that we're going to be going with you wherever it is you're going. Thanks for taking us with you. Welcome to the show. Hello, and welcome to the Take Us With You podcast. This is Emmy.
And this is Sandy, and we are so glad that you're with us. Today, we are going to just jump right in and explore more fun parts of our personalities, and we hope that you will too.
Yes, but before we jump into the disc, last episode we talked about the Enneagram, and this is kind of a follow-up to that. So you can listen to them out of order. You don't have to have listened to the Enneagram one. But before we dive into more personality / who in the heck are we assessment tools, we have to do the norm. Would you like some dad jokes related to the Enneagrams?
Girl, after this week, I need all of the dad jokes, so send them my way right now.
All right, so we know that the Enneagram is a tool to help you understand yourself, so I have a list of light bulb jokes about each type. How many reformer type 1s does it take to screw in a light bulb?
How many?
If it burned out too quickly, then shouldn't we really be using light bulbs that last longer?
So true.
How many helpers type 2s does it take to screw in a light bulb?
How many?
As many as you need, because a bright room is what makes you happy and comfortable, and that's all I want.
I feel like I should have been a type 2 instead of Anyway, yes.
No, I think you're where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
How many performer type 3s does it take to screw in a light bulb?
How many?
Only one, and just only one, and someone also has to watch them do it so they see that they are the best at changing light bulbs.
And they need their light shined on them.
Amen. Thank you, 3s. We love you.
Yeah.
How many individualistic type 4s does it take to screw in a light bulb?
I don't know. I'm going to get this wrong. Go on.
Only one. But it's going to take a while for them to do it. Before they change the light bulb, they must mentally prepare themselves while they think about a song about what it's like to sit in the dark.
Yeah, that hit it. So.
Is that right? How many observer type 5s does it take to screw in a light bulb?
0.
Yes, light bulbs. Why would you want to use light bulbs since solar energy is the new way to light up a room? That has been researched heavily. Thank you, type 5s.
Oh, wow. I got one right. Good for me. That's exciting. Okay.
This is a good one. How many loyal cynics type 6 does it take to screw in a light bulb?
I'm not sure.
3. They need one to screw it in, another to take it out, and a third to screw it in again. It has to be done carefully.
Got it.
All right, this one is me. I'm a 7. How many enthusiastic type 7s does it take to screw in a light bulb?
I don't like a party of them.
Light bulbs? Who needs light bulbs when you can have fireworks?
That is you, Sparkle Lady. That is you.
I laughed so hard. Okay, there's just 2 more. How many Challenger type 8s does it take to screw in a light bulb?
1.
None, because they are not scared of the dark, so they can't see the reason for the light.
All right, fair enough. And now this is me. This
is totally you. Okay. This is so totally you. How many Peacemaker type 9s does it take to screw in a light bulb?
I don't know. Go on. I'm so curious.
The light bulb needs to be changed? Really? Nah, the old one's okay.
That is me.
I love it. I got these from Shine Buzz. Thank you, Shine Buzz, I loved that. Yes.
And I love that, so we talked a little bit about it last week, but this summer is always a good time because it's quote unquote a time of rest and rejuvenation. But it's a time where
sure.
where you really can take some time out and figure out how you tick. And that's why I think these things are cool, because more than telling me about my personality, it tells me how I react to other people's personalities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it really it speaks into me about how I operate in groups of people that are not like me at all.
I think it's so important. I feel like ever since we did these assessments and really looked into depth at these little
Mm.
numbers, I'm seeing those numbers live out in my different friends. So I know which friends, like, I have a lot of friends that are nines, Sandy.
Do you?
I do. I like am super attracted to nines.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny. So my husband Ken is also you're a 7, you said?
Yeah.
He's also a 7, which I'm like, how did that happen? You might want to take that test again because I it's much more a 5, but
Now the truth comes out.
and I
Hey,
think different numbers do kind of attract other.
oh yeah, there's tons of stuff on that too. I actually saw I have a script subscription to get lots of magazines and books and music and stuff, and there's tons of things about relationships in the enneagrams.
Oh, hey.
So it doesn't have to just be work related, or
Mhm.
personal development related, or
Wow.
summer reading.
How we live in this world with the people around
Mm-hmm.
us.
Amen. It's all about the connections. Hey, speaking about connections, you got some good news for us today?
Girl, you know I do. Okay, here we go. Are you ready? This is from allthat'sinteresting.com, and it was written in March 5th of 2021, and the title is Passenger Plane Forced to Make an Emergency Landing in Sudan After a Stowaway Cat Attacked the Pilot. Can't wait. Officials report that no one was seriously injured in the incident and that the domestic cat was probably a stray that wandered onto the plane the night before, which really leads me to wonder what kind of security is in check for these planes if random
Right?
animals, like, what if it was a raccoon, like a trash panda? Like, let's all just be thankful it was a domestic cat. All right. A flight leaving Sudan's capital of Khartoum was rapidly forced to land last week when a stowaway cat attacked the pilot. According to Fox News, the Tarko aviation flight was scheduled to take a little less than 4 hours and arrive safely in Qatar's capital of Doha. It was at cruising altitude of about 30 minutes to an hour after departure, however, that the surprise feline passenger appeared in the cockpit and clawed at the terrified pilot.
It's my biggest
I'm
nightmare. Hello, hidden cat.
That is so dangerous. And here I am like, oh, this is chuckles worthy. All right. Unfortunately for the passengers on board, the pilot was forced to make an emergency landing back at Khartoum International Airport after the crew's attempts to wrangle the cat failed. Like, that would have been my first thought, would be like, get some flight attendants, get the cat, and like put it in a closet. That would be in the closet.
And then put someone in charge of making sure the closet doesn't bust open.
Yes, or a little cupboard or whatever. While it remains unclear just how badly the pilot was injured during the apparent cat fight, there is an explanation for how the animal surreptitiously boarded the plane in the first place. Because no passengers claimed the animal, authorities are currently confident that the cat, quote, infiltrated, unquote, the plane as it was stationed in a Khartoum International Airport hangar the night before takeoff. Presumably, it simply languished there. That's an interesting choice of words. It languished there until it suddenly found itself at cruising altitude with a few hundred unsuspecting passengers at its midst. Like,
The words, like you said, languish. The words that the authors of these stories choose, like they had a cat fight. It makes me think there's a book called 10% Better or 10%
oh,
Healthier or
I've heard of
something
that.
like that.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting. It's written by an ABC host, and he talks about his love of the words that he gets to use when portraying a story to a national audience and helping them find something meaningful from this some type of random story he's gone on a mission to find. And so I feel like these authors of your stories, they're not stories, they're news. This is
Yeah.
news,
These
not
articles.
fake news, real news.
Real,
They get to choose words that make this so entertaining.
no.
Catfight, languish.
Yeah, it's very interesting to me, like word choice and word usage. And yeah, language is not a word that we use in everyday speech, I feel. So
So
kudos.
now, when you get on next time you get on a plane, make sure you check the overhead compartment for stowaway cats.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The last part of the article says, by the time the crew noticed the animal, it had already caused too much trouble and proved too large a distraction for the flight to continue as planned. According to NDTV, the cat resourcefully evaded all those who tried capturing it. I'm not surprised. Like, we have cats in my house, and usually when I want to grab them to put them somewhere, they are all about being crazy animals and scampering to and fro. They're fast little things, not slow.
I'm not a cat person. I have dogs. They
Yes.
come when you call them. It's quite
Um,
fascinating.
my cats do not give a rat's hind end about doing the things that I want them to do. They do it on their time, and they do it very snootily.
So I'm guessing if we were to give your cats the cat version of the disc, they would all be dominants.
Oh my God, dominance. Like they don't care. That, and I feel like that's pretty characteristic of like cats worldwide. They are just very, they don't have time for that. Nobody has time for that.
I love it. This is
So,
so okay. This was a good article. Thank you for finding it. Speaking
oh,
of the disc assessment,
mhm.
you sent me the disc assessment link that you took for work. And I immediately was like, okay, what's DISC? So, for those of you who don't know, DISC, according to Wikipedia, highly researched
Nothing but the
documentation over
facts on Wikipedia, you guys.
here. DISC is a behavior self assessment tool originally based on the 1928 DISC emotional and behavioral theory of psychologist William Moulton Marston, which centered on 4 personality traits: dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance. This theory was then developed into a behavioral assessment tool by industrial psychologist Walter Vernon Clark. Personality expert and researcher Merrick Rosenberg notably innovated on the contemporary application of the DISC model as it applies to, and this is what's so interesting, team development, interpersonal relationships, and American presidential campaigns.
That's weird.
However, don't worry, DISC has not been scientifically evaluated, and the letters of DISC stand for dominant, inspiring, cautious, and supportive. You take a test, it gives you words that describe you, and it tells you which are your 2 highest DISC pie pieces.
And I feel like many companies do something, either this specific kind of test or something very specific to this, to just kind of categorize their employees.
What I love about it is it talks about your natural or your internal style and then your adapted or your external style. And I hear so many people say, I'm an introverted extrovert or extroverted introvert and whatever. I feel like this does an even better way of giving you bar graphs and pie charts of what it represents. And it says your natural or internal style represents the internal motivations that drive you most, which I thought was really interesting, compared to your adapted or external style represents the way that you tend to act or behave. So motivations versus behavior.
Yeah, it is very interesting. And like, I'm looking at mine right now, and like for my behavior, my D for dominant is 0.
Yeah, not me. Not me.
So
Sorry.
it's just, no, my gosh, this is why I think that we work. We get along so well because we are not the same human. I love that.
So my disc is kind of interesting because I really wholeheartedly believe in about half of it. But the first half, I'm like, I'm not sure. So it says, Emily, you have a blend of both cautious and inspiring traits. Your cautious traits are probably a little bit stronger than your inspiring traits, and your style is known as a cross style because your primary traits come from styles across the DISC pattern. While this combination occurs in a small percentage of people, it is still perfectly normal, although sometimes difficult to explain. And words that thus describe me are critical thinker, who's conscientious, diplomatic, and tactful.
Okay, so I am in agreement. I think you are very tactful and diplomatic. And I do also think you're conscientious because you're constantly thinking about others outside of your own self, right?
I think we all do that as educators. Like anyone who's an educator, you're taught to think outside your bubble.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I would say like you do it on a very high level. I think that you're always very concerned with the people around you and making sure, like, friends at home, the first time I ever met Emmy, like she was my very first friend at a conference. I didn't know anybody. I was nervous as all get out, and she went out of her way to introduce herself and make me feel welcome. And that
pretty sure I like danced up to you because we were supposed to be friends. Like I had been hearing that we were going to be friends forever. So I was like, oh my God, Sandy!
Wagon. We were the welcome wagon for the conference, and yes.
It's so interesting. And I think, because yours, you'll talk about yours in a second, but The one thing that I really love that they said is the part about the inspiring thing. You probably like to interact with people to create quality and excellence. You have the ability to be both assertive and friendly when you interact. So, my friends that are listening, yes, I have a tendency to be assertive. But really, it's because I'm trying to find the best quality and excellence and connections and energy that we can build together. So it is not like manipulative or any of those things. It's just how can we make people feel inspired? And I guess that's where the cautiousness comes because I don't just jump in and say, we are going that way.
You're going to do what I say. Yeah.
Unless you don't want to, and that's okay.
No, it's how can we together
Yes.
as a team elevate this literally to the next level. That is absolutely who you are.
That was a perfect. See, maybe you should be the disc assessment writer. Tell me all about what your disc said. I've obviously dominated the conversation.
No. Way to go, Dee. All right. So mine, I was a combination of, my style is either SC or CS. And so what that means for me is, as Sandra, which no one ever calls me, but here we are. You have a blend of supportive and cautious traits. From the results we have so far, we cannot tell which of these traits is the strongest for you. You may have a very balanced blend of both traits. Some words to describe you are helpful, careful, concerned, and considerate. You have both people-oriented and task-oriented traits. You have both outgoing and reserved traits. You probably enjoy doing things carefully using a proven pattern or process, 100%, like 1000%. You will probably prefer orderly, logical approaches. It is likely that you do not like conflict and will work hard to avoid conflict situations. Yes. And that's what my Enneagram says, because I'm a peaceful mediator, you turds. Yeah.
And I'm the entertaining optimist.
Yeah. So that is interesting. I can see that in myself. I function better with a schedule, right? And like my schedule might be different than somebody else's. My schedule might start later and go later into the day, but it is a schedule that I adhere to. And when it's thrown off its course, like in the summertime when I don't have regular rehearsals and events to attend, I am not my best self. I find that I work and get more done and accomplish more when I have very specified types of deadlines.
There's a lot of research out there about those type of things, like when you have less time, how you actually get more done.
Yes. And I will say that's like 100% me, because I'm a natural procrastinator as well. So
well, the part about the disc that it doesn't really go into with this like free assessment that we take is understanding the two basic drives. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for me in all this. Like, yeah, it's fun to look and reflect, like, who am I? Who are my friends? Who are the people around me? But there's two basic drives in this disc assessment. One is called the motor drive or the pace drive, and the other is the compass drive or the priority drive. So the motor drive is how outgoing or faster paced you are. So if you are in the upper half where it's the outgoing, faster pace, those are your more outgoing people, whereas the lower are your slower paced. And so the outgoing people tend to move fast, talk fast, decide fast.
I am bottom. I am the bottom.
And I'm totally top. The people on the bottom talk more slowly, maybe a little softer. They consider things and think a little bit more before they talk.
A hot second to like make those thoughts come out of my mouth. Yes.
And you can be in a different shading of all those things. Versus, like, that's your drive, your motor drive. The compass drive, which is your priority drive, this, instead of being horizontal, is vertical. Yeah. And this is task-oriented focused people and people-oriented focused people. Right. And this is where I feel like I literally fall in the smack center, because the task-oriented people are focused on logic and data and results and projects versus focusing on experiences and feelings and relationships. And I feel like that's 100% you on that. Like, you want all those.
Yes, I am like a gut reaction. And I don't know like how you are with this, but when something isn't right, quote unquote, like if it doesn't, I get physically sick to my stomach.
Oh,
I get so ill. If like there's an emotional thing going on that I feel is outside of either my comfort zone or something that I can't control or guide. It's really bad.
I think but those are the things we can learn from this. And I think that's the takeaway, is looking at these different tools, whether it's the disc or the Enneagram or something else out there,
Yeah.
and saying, okay, how can I take what I now know about myself on paper, whether it's true or false or whatever, and then use it to gear up for the fall? Because
Right.
I think August 1st or August 15th or whatever day you want to do, I feel like that's a better New Year's resolution day than the 1st of January.
So too. I mean, that is like the day of new beginnings. Like
Mm-hmm.
before that quote unquote academic year hits,
Mm-hmm.
especially for all of our teacher friends and types out there, that truly is, that's when you do all of your planning and you do
Mm-hmm.
your research and like ways to inspire for the school
Yeah.
year. Mm-hmm.
I've really enjoyed exploring all of these with you,
Me
Sandy. It's been a
too.
fun little summer project.
It has been, and there's more out there. There's the Myers-Briggs. Ken, my husband, is, shout out Ken, is taking the Myers-Briggs for just this thing that he's doing. And so there are tons of options just to kind of, and again, it helps you get a better idea of how you operate in this world.
And in case no one has told you today, you're the only you there is. So you keep on operating however you feel comfortable operating, because if you don't, you're robbing the world of the opportunity to have you. Remember.
And there is no bad personality type.
No.
Different.
That's what makes the world fun.
Well,
this is fun.
Great.
Yeah, hey, I hope you've made it to wherever you're going nice and safely. Thank you so much for taking us with you.
Yes, and we will be posting a link to the DISC assessment on our our Instagram. I'm sorry, I'm like, I don't know how.
It could be on the YouTube too. It's okay. We'll put it on things.
We'll put a link up, and if you are interested in jumping on that journey with us, go for it.
You guys are awesome. If you have a chance, like, subscribe, write nice things or bad things, whatever your personality is. We're just so glad you took us with us and took us with you, and we'll see you next time.
All right, bye friends.